Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Venice, your host and Entrepreneur Resources. We discovered the no-fluff action steps to help you avoid all the overwhelm and all the BS out there, connecting you with the right mentors, resources, and tools, helping you every step of the way on your entrepreneurial journey. We go live here twice a week, interviewing different entrepreneurs and experts on all areas of business. So make sure to join our Facebook group and look out for the events inside your Entrepreneur Resources page. You can find all the links in the description box. Today, I have a very awesome guest with me. It is Kristīne from the Pod Grow. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Venice. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great, and I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah, same here. So Kristīne helps purpose-driven female entrepreneurs gain more exposure, reach a true expert status, and grow their business by helping them get on perfectly aligned podcasts in their niche. In this interview today, we're going to be talking about how to connect with your perfect clients using podcast guesting as a marketing strategy for your business. This is incredible. Podcasts are growing, and I feel like this is such an important topic that people should pay attention to. But before we dive in, do you mind sharing a little bit more about your business and your journey with us?
Yes, definitely. Thank you for introducing me. So I'm Kristīne. I am podcast guesting expert and strategist and founder of the Podcast Growth Agency, which is just short for the Pod Grow. I'm also a wife and a mom to 1-year-old, and you can say that I'm self-proclaimed podcast junkie. And what I do is I help female entrepreneurs gain more exposure, visibility, help to build their authority, and grow their business basically by helping them get on perfectly suited podcasts and make a bigger impact for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think, I know this is probably a question you get quite a lot, but there's so many podcasts these days. Like everyone's listening to podcasts. We all know that podcasts growing. Why is it so important for entrepreneurs, service providers, coaches to consider getting on podcasts?
It's a great question. And yes, like you mentioned, podcasts are booming right now. And there actually is like over 2 million podcasts right now. Wow. So the number is just growing each day. It's insane. Mm-hmm. And what's special about podcasts is that their audience is so incredible special because of the high engagement they get and the level of trust basically they have with a host and with a community. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, there is no better media actually that can provide that level of interrupted connection that you can make with your perfect client and with the audience you are in front of. So basically the average podcast interview is 40 minutes. So that's a perfect amount of time that you get to share your story, share valuable knowledge, expertise, and really share your knowledge how can you solve a problem that the audience have. So basically you get to connect in meaningful and deeper way than any other media, YouTube or Facebook or Instagram ad. Is just incredible to be on podcast interviews. And yes, and I think the most important reason is the podcast interviews actually allows build authentic and genuine relationships with the hosts and with the audience. So I think that's the most important thing, because that can go and allow you to do so many things than just interviews. It can be guest speaking, it could be joint collaboration, joint projects. Really the options are limitless because you are just building genuine relationships with audience and with the hosts, of course.
Mm-hmm. And in your experience, I know you've been doing this for a little while. Is it difficult to pitch, like find podcasts or like pitch to podcasts?
So basically what I found, it's not hard. It's maybe a bit time consuming, and it definitely, you need to do your homework before you pitch a podcast. Mm-hmm. So there are several techniques that I use for researching and also for pitching shows, but I can share like some of the ways that you can find perfectly suited shows for you. So basically, the first one, the way that I also use, and it's very, very simple, It's it's just Google search. So basically, what I like to do is to type in, for example, I'm looking for female entrepreneurship podcasts within specific niche. So basically, I type in that, and what comes out is the biggest shows. The that definitely come out the first, and from there on, you just start segueing off the shows, because what happens is that Apple iTunes do the heavy lifting for you, and if you scroll down, there is like a section listeners also subscribe to. So there is like a bunch of shows that are similar in their nature, in their messaging, and very aligned with what are you looking for actually. So you just start researching one by one, see what they are about, see their social media, of course, and just see what would make the best fit for you. So that's the one way. Maybe a bit more time consuming, but a great way to start actually.
About this way with Google search, I'm just very curious because obviously when you search, most of the time the very popular ones would be coming
Yes.
up, right? And
Yes.
but there's no way for you to know exactly how many listeners they get, just because their statistics is not there in
Yes.
Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anything like that. So how do you make sure that you don't pitch yourself to some huge podcast that might not be the right fit at the moment?
Yes, a great question, and I love that, because what I like to do is actually I like to use two tools that I will be sharing with you today. Basically, I use Apple iTunes, like first major tool, and you can see the ratings and reviews actually. But sometimes what happens that the podcast on Apple iTunes do not show the all ratings and reviews. So I like to use actually one other platform is called chartable.com, where you type in the podcast, and it combines all the ratings and reviews from different platforms like Spotify, Stitchers, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, not just from iTunes. And so basically, sometimes the number of reviews change dramatically compared to Apple iTunes. So basically, what I like to do is, again, see how well established you are. For example, if you're just starting out and you have no publicity, you are just like starting your business and starting to build a name for yourself, I definitely recommend also podcast guesting to look into. I think the great area will be till 100 ratings. The gray area would be like till the 50. That's a great way to start. But you can also try till 100. So basically, that's a good place to start. And after 100, like already around 100, there's like kind of a bigger shows with like huge audiences already, and you really have to be, whether with a unique messaging, unique topic, or whether you have to be very well established already in your business. It's just not about the followers or about your social media presence. It's really how well established you are in your business. Do you have like your offers in place? Do you know who your audience is? Do you know how you serve your people? So also the previous podcast appearances really helps. So yes, so that's one way I would look at that. And if you are really established, you can definitely look into bigger shows. But what I have found that actually the best results doesn't necessarily come from bigger shows, because the smaller communities, smaller audiences are really engaged, and the trust level is huge. So at the end of the day, if you want to see the results, like in your amount of clients you have, or amount of sales you make, or you are just want to build your authority, you can definitely try with smaller communities, smaller shows, because it's a gem. I'm telling you, like, it's amazing what can happen.
I actually love this tip because I have no idea about the platform. What was it again? Chart
Chartable.com. Yeah,
Chartable.
it's
Oh,
amazing. It shows
chartable.com.
the
Yeah.
charts, it shows the ratings and reviews. Yeah, it's just amazing tool that you can use. And I also like to use listennotes.com. It also shows listen score and approximate like percentage how popular the show is. So you can like get a understanding of how popular the show is, because in very rare occasions podcast host shares the number of downloads they have.
Yeah.
So it tends to be a very huge show if the host shares the downloads.
Definitely.
And again, no, not necessarily all people download the show, because we have like Spotify and Stitcher. We don't download the show, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
For sure.
statistics is like never known actually. Like it's kind to understand like the precise number.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I feel like it's such a great tip that I didn't know about. So now I can go and implement and use this tip that you shared. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
you're welcome.
So besides Google search, what
Mhm.
other ways do you have, like any tips you have regarding looking for podcasts?
Yes. So basically, I have two ways that I also use. So basically, one other way is social media search. For example, let's just say I'm also a woman in entrepreneurship and I want to connect with other women in entrepreneurship world. So I want to be on these shows. So what naturally happens is I already am connecting myself with females that I resonated with, and I read their content and I consume them. And there are very big chance that they have their own podcasts, because podcasts are booming right now. And what I like to do is just, if I see that the messaging is aligned, if I resonated, if my client is resonant with the message, I save it in my Instagram collection, just a screenshot. And once I'm ready to be in a podcast, or my client is, or what I recommend to do if you are pitching yourself, it's like a kind of warmer approach. You already can start engaging on social media with that person, because it will be so much easier to build authentic relationships already, and you will feel more comfortable if you will get on that person's show. And once you will send that pitch, people already know you. Basically, if the host run the account himself or herself, she will already know your name. And if a team helps her out, already team will be familiar with you, because they already see your engagement on social media, and they just will know that you are not like a spammy person or somewhere somewhere internet person, but like you're a real person with a good intentions for collaboration. And that's one way that I like to use, just Instagram collections. Yes, and one other way is actually, I love this hack. Because what I like to ask my clients is, for example, before I start searching, or maybe I get stuck, and I like to ask, hey, maybe you can share with me. Maybe you can share with me the person that you look up to in your business, and the person that is kind of like your competitor, but not in a bad way, in a good way, like just like you're in the same niche, basically. And what is amazing about this is that you can actually search that person and see on what podcasts they have been on. And so you automatically see, hey, he's been on that show, or she's been on that show. Maybe I should try it because she speaks about that, but I can add my points about that. So the audience could really gain so much value from it. So that's amazing way to search for shows as well. And also it gives you an amazing start to segue shows from that starter point where you are right now, because again, Apple iTunes do all the heavy lifting for you. You just scroll down and see other listeners subscribe to, and there's like a whole bunch of shows that you can research, and definitely there will be a fit for you, because they're all so aligned and so similar. So yeah, it's just a matter of time actually. And just really what I recommend highly is do your homework before you pitch, so you don't come across weird or just salesy, because
Yeah.
you need to come across as a genuine person who
Mhm.
wants to collaborate, who wants to add value to that person's audience and build real relationships.
Yeah, I love the second strategy you shared because I never thought about it that way. But it's actually quite simple when you think about it because you
Yes.
can find other people in your niche around the same size audience as you,
Mhm,
go
mhm.
on their website, see where they've appeared online,
Yes,
or
yes,
even
yes.
on Instagram story. People share all the time, say, "Oh, I was on this podcast."
Mhm.
Take a screenshot of your busy and come back to it later and be like,
Yes.
"Okay, let me have a look at if I would be qualified. I can add value to that
Mhm.
podcast." And just pitch to them. So
Yes, yes.
speaking about pitching, because you mentioned a little bit about, like not be spammy and make sure that it comes from a place of authenticity and service. Do you have any tips as to how to pitch a podcast host to make sure that, you don't sound spammy or just stand out from the crowd a little bit?
Yes, definitely. So what I recommend is do that through email. If
Yeah.
you are already like connecting with that person on DMs, of course, by all means, do that in DMs. But if you are cold pitching, let's just say that, do that through email. And before actually sending the email, go to their website and check if they already have a podcast guest submission form,
Mhm.
because a lot of the times they already have that, and this will be just like respect of their time that they already have the form, and you took that time to actually go to the website and go through the process basically.
Mhm.
And yes, that's the first thing I suggest. And yes, just regarding the pitching, just start with a little icebreaker. Always mention the host's name. What do you and always use the show name, so you don't come across like a robot or like a genuine general email that will be sent out to everybody. And yes, it will be more time consuming. I get it, but I will 100% tell you that it will get the results you need,
Mhm.
because people can feel it. They feel your energy through email. They feel that you are coming across salesy or like a normal person. It really can be tell from the email.
Mhm.
So yes, what I recommend is just definitely share what specific things you liked about the show, not just, oh, I loved your show, but what specific thing resonated with you. It just shows that you have actually listened, and always come from a place of service. So
Mhm.
basically, not that don't necessarily talk about your accomplishments. Of course, it's important to show you at your best light, but it's also important to mention what you can add to the table. What topics
Mhm.
can you provide to that person's audience that will bring value to them? So always think of that service. Always think about, how can I add value, how can I help that person. So, and
Mhm.
then the results will definitely come. And yeah, mention your social media handles, your previous podcast appearances if you have ones, but just in a very short, concise way. It doesn't have to be a long email, like maybe even like 500 words max. That's like maximum.
Mhm.
Maybe even shorter. It is a time consuming, definitely, to make that email template about you in a short, sweet way, but it will definitely give you the results you need. And what I like to do is also just mention that you support the show. Leave a 5-star review, like share it with your friends, like share a screenshot, share some love, because hosts really appreciate it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the small actions really change a lot because if someone approaches me and say, "Hey, I want to be on your podcast," I'm like, "Why? Who are you?" But if you're telling me what you can help my audience achieve, what kind of problems you can help them solve, and that you've been supporting, you've been listening, and you're happy to give a rating and share it out, I'd be more likely to have you come on my podcast. So I love that. I have a quick question. I'm really curious about your take on this because I don't have a media sheet And I know that a lot of podcast guests have media sheets. What do you think about that?
Yes. What I'm using right now is two types of media sheets, actually. One is that I create for myself internally and that I use when I already am in contact with hosts. And I add and I send it like it's just a simple PDF document. But I don't send out it on my initial pitch because I don't actually add attachment, any of it. Also, I highly recommend that doing because these emails can go to spam if there are attachments. Also, keep in mind that sometimes the signature can show as attachments, so just keep that in mind. And so you're maybe sometimes are thinking, why nobody's answering me? It's because people are most likely not to open an email from unknown email address with an attachment. So what I like to do is actually create a landing page as a media sheet that is way more beautiful. Of course, it requires more work, but you can share additional topics there that you can speak. You can share your previous media appearances in a very beautiful way, and you can add your branding, and you can already incorporate your booking link into there. It's just very simple for everybody, and it looks amazing. And it's just like simple, elegant, to the point. One click, you can see everything, and people are most likely to say yes to you because it just shows that you are organized enough to do that. And I think it's a great way, if you are serious about podcast guesting, to create a media kit online, like a landing page.
No, I think that's such an incredible tip, especially because once you get someone to go on your website, there's a big chance of them to dig around a little bit. You know, maybe they'll even read your blog post, then they'll find so much value that they'll follow you on social media. And it's just welcoming them into your world instead of just being like, hey, one-page PDF, read this, you know? So I really like that. I think I'm going to go and do that, actually. I'll let you know how it goes.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I just have one more question regarding podcast episodes and kind of promote them, because I know that's a big, just you coming on someone's podcast doesn't really, I mean, it's a lot of value, of course, but you should be repurposing this piece of content everywhere, right? Because you want your audience to see it. You want to kind of like give yourself some credibility in, like, you know, through these appearances. How would you suggest someone as a podcast guest promote the episode that they've been on?
Yes, so that's an amazing question. I actually had like a mini training about that like a few weeks ago with my clients, and what I see a lot is that people tend to only share the episode once it's live, and that's it basically, which is a huge mistake actually, because it's an evergreen lead for your business and you can do whatever you want with it. Basically, let's just say it like that. You created it and you contributed to this content. So yes, share it as much as you want. So basically what I suggest is actually at the day of the recording, you can just make a quick photo of you and the host and just share it on IG stories, like, hey, I'm recording an episode, it will come out soon, just stay tuned. It will already give your audience a sneak peek of what you're doing, and it's just amazing way to share the love and support the show. And of course, once the episode is live, of course, you share it, and on your feed, on your stories, also on your email list is very important, because email list is super engaged. And what I also like to teach to my clients is just talk about it on your stories. Just tell your audience what you covered, why it's important for you to hear, because stories add this like human touch to social media, and it's just more engaging for your audience, and it will definitely drive traffic to the episode. And once the episode is live and it's maybe like past a few weeks, whatever amount of time, there are no rules that says that you cannot promote it again. So basically, if you feel that it is relevant, if you feel that people are asking, just send them to this episode and say, hey, I see that you're asking me about this. I just covered this in my podcast episode. Feel free to listen. It's an amazing resource for you, and guide people there. And what I also like to teach is that you can create like a highlight where you combine your media appearances for people, that they can just, once they discovered, see that you've been on podcast interviews. That really creates your authority and builds your credibility, and also use it in your website, like maybe featured in, or just like my media appearances. Where have I been? Like under resources tab, like whatever feels good to you, but definitely use it on your website, on your social media platforms. And definitely there are no rules that says that the podcast interview can be shared once it goes live and then we kind of forget about it. That's definitely not the case. You can share it whenever you feel like it, and it will definitely bring value to your audience, because every day you kind of like get more and more people joining your community. So people maybe didn't hear that a month ago. So
Yeah,
always take
definitely.
that into account.
Those are such great nuggets. I love those tips. I think they're so actionable, and people can just go and start doing these things, like creating Instagram story highlights. That's something that I need to do. So that's a great reminder for me. If entrepreneurs is listening right now, they might be thinking, okay, this sounds amazing. I would love to be on podcasts. I want to start guesting or continue on showing up in front of different podcasts, but I really don't have the time. I want to outsource it. And I know that's something that you're very good at. Do you mind sharing a little bit about, how do you find the right person to outsource to? Or, what is that process like? What will that person do for me? Like, how does that whole thing work?
Yes, great question. Yes. So basically, I think the number one important thing is to take into account is that you trust that person, and you've kind of give your story to that person, and the person is reaching out on your behalf. So basically, behind the scenes. So make sure you share your story. Make sure that this person gets you, because basically what I do is I like to have a brainstorming session. We develop speaking topics. You share basically your life journey with me, because I like to immerse myself into your life so I can know things about you and don't bother you with my questions all the time while I'm pitching you for some shows, because I already know that. I already know what you like. I already know what you stand for, your values, because it's so important. Because yes, it's just a matter of defining the right fit, and it's just not like necessarily the business fit or the business niche, but also the same values that person shares, maybe the same personality types, or just, of course, the target audience is so important. But those little things really matter, because once you record with somebody, it's better if you have a chemistry, and it's better if you have a great dynamic. And that's just like, oh, I'm feeling weird, or I don't like that person. You genuinely want to like that person and contribute to their audience and just bring value to them. So that's very, very important, that the person that reaches out on your behalf gets you and understands you, because it will just create a better
Represent
result.
you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think that, from the way that we got to know each other, just for the audience that don't know, obviously, the story of how we got to know each other, but the way that Kristīne approached me, it was just very genuine. It didn't feel like it was someone saying like, hey, I've got all these clients. I want to make money because I want to book them on podcasts. Here, like, take them. It was more like, no, so what are you looking for? Let me help you as well. And you basically took over, and I didn't need to like, talk to the guests myself, you knew exactly what they could provide to my audience. You know exactly, what they would be asking for, what I would be asking for, and you handle all the communication so beautifully. And I just love what you do. I feel like, as someone that also goes on a lot of podcasts as a guest, it can be very difficult because I tend to, I have so many things going on and I tend to forget my commitments, or I forget to catch up on exactly the topic that I'm discussing, or I forget to promote it. And having that one person to kind of take over, so you can 100% trust that person to represent you, use your voice, step into your shoes, and know that they know you so well that it's basically, your clone, right? Like representing you in a great way. So I think like outsourcing it is a great way, especially for someone like you. I'm sure you've already have a huge database of different podcasts, and you know where to find them. You know the strategies, the tips, the ways to just tackle everything. And for busy entrepreneurs, obviously it's hard if you're just starting out. But if you have that little bit of, money to reinvest into hiring somebody, I think it's a great, great way to maximize your exposure and get you in front of a lot more people without you having to stress about it. So love what you do. Yeah. Before I let you go, I really want to ask this one more question. I know we're like going kind of over time now, but I just love this conversation. If someone that's listening right now, it's like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to do this right now and start reaching out to do a podcast. What's that one thing you suggest they do today or tomorrow or within this week?
So basically, what I will suggest is start with understanding, maybe for somebody who's just starting out, who you help and how you do it. Know your message. That's so important, because that's when everything starts. Basically, you cannot start just reaching out to random people. No, you can, but it will not give you the results you are looking for, basically. Yes, just start connecting with people on social media that you resonate with, if you, of course, have time to do it. And if you are not, don't have time to do it, just start reaching out by emails, like let's just say cold pitching, because sometimes it gets the same amount of results. But be sure to create a genuine pitch, like, and like coming from a place of service, like how can I add to this person's audience, not just, oh, I want to promote my coaching package or whatever. It's just, how can I bring value to that audience, and why this person, what we have in common, like share that with that person. Maybe you both are starting coaches, maybe you both are moms, or whatever it is for you. Maybe you're both in the same, I don't know, region, or maybe you have like something in common. Maybe you are from the same nationality, or whatever, because people are now connecting all over the world. And it doesn't matter where are you, because I'm actually in Latvia, in Europe, and it's so far away. So I love that we can connect like throughout the world, and it doesn't necessarily depends where I'm from. So yeah, just that, like little tips. Share that with the person you are pitching, and also track your results, and also all the time see like what can be improved, what worked this time, why that one didn't work, and also one important tip: don't forget to follow up.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's all in the follow-up because we all are busy. We get so many emails. So I love that. Following up is so important. Yeah. So before wrapping up, I know that you've got 2 special gifts for us. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about what they are?
Yes, I have actually 2 freebies that I'm ready to share with your audience, and one, it's called like how to be an awesome podcast guest. So basically, it covers do's and don'ts that you should implement while podcast guesting, and it will really help you to be more successful in this whole process, and the hosts will love you and will suggest you to their friends and to their friends, and it will be just amazing for you. And one other freebie is actually how to maximize your podcast interview, because once we get a yes, it's awesome. We nailed the interview, awesome. And what's next? So basically, how you can create these results from your interview. I cover like little tips in there. So yeah, be sure to download. It's completely free, and I hope you will enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing those. I'll make sure to put them in the description box. So if anyone's interested in grabbing them, and you should grab them, check out the description box. Before I let you go, I would love for you to share where we can find out more about you and connect with you online.
Yes. So basically, I'm an Instagram girl. I love that platform. So you can find me at the Pod Grow on Instagram. And yeah, just in my website, thepodgrow.com. You can definitely go and check it out. You can also download freebies there and connect with me there for whatever you want.
Yeah, amazing. And make sure to check again all the links in the description box. So yeah, I think it's so easy to remember, the Pod Grow. I love that name. It's stuck in my head now. So very easy to remember. Thank you again so much for being on your Entrepreneur Resources show. For those of you that need to have a revision of the show, check out the description box. For entrepreneurs that's listening, got our live experts here twice a week, so make sure to stay tuned. Join our community on Facebook. And thank you so much for being here on your Entrepreneur Resources show. And thank you everyone for tuning in. I'll chat with you very soon, and have a great rest of your day.